Hi everyone, Jack the Rambling Raconteur here with Book 21 in the Odyssey by Homer, and things are heating up, literally. We have the great climactic moment when Odysseus, as the stranger, strings the bow in a very swift motion, and then while sitting there, grabs the single arrow that's not in the quiver, sends it through the axe heads, and then the great moment where Telemachus, wearing his armor, leaps out and sort of takes his stand right next to Odysseus, and it's clear that all hell's about to break loose in that dining hall. There are some interesting references before that. The way Odysseus sort of has identified Eumaeus as a loyal servant, Philocteus, the cattle herd, as a loyal servant, and he notes that he's going to reward them. They are his slaves, one purchased by his father, and yet he is going to reward them for having prayed for his return, which is sort of an interesting choice. Like, that's what he was listening for, was who was praying for his return. Penelope has a moment where she is guided by Athena to lay out the bow and present the challenge to the suitors, all of whom fail. And it's interesting that it starts with a soothsayer, and Antinous is so antagonistic to everyone, is sort of bragging and creating the constant dissension that he does. Eurymachus has a more there's a bit more depth to him. He's mentioned favorably by some earlier in the Odyssey. Here, he has a moment where he's recognizing his own failure, recognizing some level of shame. And it's interesting how Penelope sort of turns the suitors' behavior on them when they don't want to allow the stranger to attempt the bow, because it would disgrace them. And she knows, you can't show up and behave the way you have for the past few years in absolute disgrace and assume that you have any honor anyways. What would it matter regardless of this? The interaction between Telemachus and Penelope continues to be an interaction of friction. But that exciting moment when Odysseus does take the bow and he strings it, there's such an energy to the way Homer describes that moment, and the way he describes the beginning of Book 22 is going to be one of the real heights of action poetry from the early ages. But in Book 21, we do finally get this moment where we've learned that the bow belonged to someone who had been killed by Heracles, who was sort of this godlike man, and now we have the contrast and this idea that Odysseus himself has been explicitly a godlike man, and now here he is in his glory, in his power. So it's an exciting moment. I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you.